Tom was raised in a poor community in New York and in a very urban, obviously, and in a suburban, even farming community in Michigan also. He went to Michigan State University.
Go white.
To Michigan State University. He was a National Health Service Corps scholar and went to a little community health center in northern Michigan called East Jordan Family Health Center. Served his time there, loved it, stayed, raised his family. Over time became a medical director of that health center. From there, for a time was the executive director of that health center. Got involved in starting a clinicians network, a club for physicians working in community health centers in that part of the country. And from there, got connected with the National Association of Community Health Centers. They asked him to come and be the medical director for the National Association of Community Health Centers, an organization today representing 1,300 health centers with 9,000 clinics, and we'll see about 25 million people this year. He did that for 17 years, and from that role, he was very actively involved in what you see here today. It was his organization when we thought about opening a dental school that said, we'll partner with you on that. So we opened a dental school whose purpose was to train dentists to go to work for community health centers. From there, he was behind the scenes pulling some strings to get a committee at NAC to ask AT Still to open them a medical school. That's how we ended up with the School of Osteopathic Medicine in Arizona here. And in each of those, he was forming committees to help us design those schools and to help us keep it on mission. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to share some stories with you today that you can resonate with, that you can use examples in your own life. Let's welcome my good friend, Tom Curtin.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you guys all for dressing up for me. You look great. How's the sound check back for you? We're good? All right. Yeah. Hero healer, and I haven't seen a patient in over 20 years. So, you know, as family doctor, I thought I was going to do that for my whole life. And my dream, I remember writing down on that piece of paper, that essay you have to submit, I wanted to be a country doctor, delivering babies, living out in the woods with my wife and my dog. I do all of those, but I don't do medicine anymore. I stay up to date, but I went in a different way. And I left clinical medicine after about 10 years, 13 years, because I was seeing 1,100 people a year, about 4,500 visits. And I did that again, and I did it again, and I did it again. And then I'd look around and see systems where the people weren't getting the kind of care they needed, but I couldn't have any impact on it. And there were millions of those people. Some people not even getting any care, not necessarily the best care that they deserved. Gary had mentioned I formed a clinical network, and a lot of doctors and medical providers will say how much they hate meetings. They hate management. They'd rather go do something. But I realized early on for myself, I actually could, I say, walk in both worlds. I'm pretty comfortable being a clinician. I'm also comfortable going into a meeting where we're going to have to reach consensus and do all this other kind of stuff. The other thing, though, that happened, besides being able to have a greater impact and being able to do the job, which a lot of clinicians didn't want to do. If we abdicate our responsibility to lead, then somebody else is going to lead you. And that bothered me. I saw that happening. And so I decided to go in that different direction. I think the other thing that got me to go was that, you know, Ted and I were just talking today because I found my 20-year-old doctor bag. Had my stethoscope, my sphygmomanometer, and otoscope in there, and covered with dust. It's got to be that thick. And I was just thinking about that, you know, looking at it, cleaning it up. Stethoscope still worked, and Ted goes, Heart's still in the same place, right? Yeah. It is. But what was cool about going into leadership and management and getting into all the other things was how fast things change. When this Congress gets elected, is it next week? Next week, we're going to see a bunch of change real quick in what's called that lame duck session. And then after the new people come in, all the new fights will start. So we're hoping in these next 2 months they're going to clean up a bunch of the junk they've put off. But it's going to be a tense time. But they can change things so quick, and that's what I found was so exciting. Part of the, almost if you want to be an emergency room doc, you never know quite what's going to happen. Who's going to send a bill up? Who's going to change something? Who's going to change a payment system? Who's going to change, which hospitals are going to merge? These things. I found that exciting, and I could do it. And the other docs were happy I'd do it, because they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to go to another vice president meeting and do all that kind of stuff. So to me, that leadership is critical, because if we don't take it on ourselves, then somebody else will. They'll create our future, and we should be, the right people from our groups should be at the table participating in that leadership. Now, if you want to do it, just like you're doing this medical school thing, you got to get training. Now, how many people think leaders are born? Nobody? All right. Yeah, 1, 2, maybe. How many think it's a trained experience? I think the answers Dr. Cloud got right. I believe most people, you got to have it in you. It's hard to give people a skill, tell them they're a leader, and they do not want to be or feel awkward. They'll have the skill, they'll do okay. But I think it's both born and learned. So you have to get training. Doesn't mean a master's of public health. I didn't do that. I went to a series of training that was really pertinent to health centers, underserved populations, politics, other types of stuff. The other thing is to get a mentor. How many of you have got a mentor? Yeah. How many of you have had more than one mentor? Oh yeah. I'm on my third and fourth. So anyway, my point is I go through mentors. They seem age appropriate. When I was your age, there was one. I got older, there was another. Then he died, and the last 2 I picked are dead. That way they can't leave me anymore. They wrote their stuff down, or at least one did. Tom Jefferson wrote his stuff down. And
Might be not the mentor.
you're right. Be gone. The other one is Jesus. And I think there are lessons other people wrote for him. But I go to those 2 places a lot of times when I need some different kind of mentoring. So today, I'm going to take you through a few different stories. I'm not sure you're going to know where they're going until we get to the end. And there's a reason for this. There's a Chinese symbol, and I don't recall exact words. I remember what they mean. And what it means is, before there is brilliance, there must be chaos. And before someone looks brilliant, they will look foolish. So you got to start looking like a fool, a little bit of chaos. But if you're right, you can pull it off at the end and make it come together into something that's brilliant. Now, if we're going to be successful on any of these things, like this medical school, Gary and I talk about this in the dental school, we need champions. You need people who are going to step up and help you succeed. You can't do it yourself, okay? One of the things for a leader to do is to be able to identify who those other leaders are, and to reach out to them, offer to be a mentor, show them a pathway, like you're a guide, help them through this, okay? And so, excuse me. Help if I open that water, wouldn't it? So you need a champion. You guys are going to go to the health centers and you're going to find different things, activities that are going on. And I think you'll find that for almost every one of them, they have an identified champion. Whether it's a teaching health center, which you guys are going to be going to, whether it's a health center doing some significant research, They'll have champions for their electronic health records. They'll have champions for their patient-centered medical home. But these things are going to be critical for your success in leadership positions. Now, I like to use something that personally, I use what's called disruptive innovation. Change comes too slow for me. I don't have a high patience level. I work on it because I know I don't have a high patience level. I've written that down twice. Okay? I don't have one, so I need it to happen faster. Disruptive innovation. If you disrupt somebody's table, they'll be upset. But if you can show them you have a better table that's going to work better, and that you're going to assist them through this, and that they're not going to be hurt, they don't have to be fearful of pain or something wrong, then they will accept your innovation. And that's what I like to do. I like to work with people to help them break what they've got down that's not working right, and then work with others and them to find out what can do it better. So disruptive innovation. I'm going to tell you something about shamanism. How many people are familiar with shamanism? Okay. Medicine men? More? Okay. They teach in riddles. And I was in a car with a cab driver from Africa. And, you know, we were talking about me being a doctor. And I've also had a significant amount of training by a shaman, because in the place we live in northern Michigan, we have a large Indian population. And when I got there, they embraced me. Okay, I didn't say, well, I want to be the doctor to the Indians. But rather, the Indians came to me and said, you talk to us different than the other doctors do. And I became more aware and did some reading and then doing some teaching. So they teach in riddles. So I'm talking to this cabbie, and he says, really, you're a doctor? I said, yeah. He says, and you got some training as a gugu man, which in his tribe is what the medicine man's called. I said, yeah. He goes, oh, that's powerful. Because if you go away on work and you're away from home for a long time, you know, sometimes things happen. You might like get gonorrhea. He's, you know, true, you know, we know this. Anyway, he says, man, doctor can fix gonorrhea, but he's not going to fix your problems, man. He says, but a goo-goo man, he can help fix things at home for you. And the doctor clearing up your gonorrhea, that's powerful stuff. I think it brings in the spiritual part of medicine, which is where the shamans also exist. I want to tell you a story because I like it. And that is, I was in Peru, in Cusco, and we were going up to see Machu Picchu, going to hike up there. And so I went looking for a medicine man because I needed some supplies. Okay, you need a seashell with some holes drilled in it, and you need some smudge, and you need a feather. You should have a rattle. So I find a store, and I go in there kind of inquisitive, seeing, you know, is it a real store? And if you have an eye, then you can see. They had conventional stuff, probably made in China, I'd guess. Drums, bowls, other things. And then they had real stuff, and you could just tell the difference. So I asked the lady in there, you know, where's the medicine man? She acts dumb. Okay, that's reasonable. Why are you going to tell some big, long-haired, old U.S. white guy who thinks he's a shaman what's really going on? So then I said, who made the drums? Who did this? She knew I was onto something. And so she said, okay, just a minute. She goes back and comes out with her husband. And he opens up he comes out, we talk, and then he says, so you need a feather? I said, yeah, I need a feather. And he says, okay, so he goes to the safe and he opens it up. And he pulls out a piece of paper, newspaper, unfolds that very carefully, and inside are 5 condor feathers. A condor is a magnificent bird, a vulture. It eats fruit and dead things. It doesn't kill. Just magnificent, though. And I was really happy. I mean, it's like, you know, finding the gold mine, seeing these things. And I said, may I have one? And he said, yeah, pick one out. So I picked one out. And then he says, take another. So I said, another? I said, I only need one. He says, take another. So I picked another one. And then I had the two. And I asked him, what did I owe him? He goes, nothing. I said, nothing? He says, no. He goes, now, though, you must find the person to give the other feather to. I've carried that feather around for 4 years. Guy got me. He's got me on, it's almost like a riddle. I can't quite figure it out. I'm still looking for who gets this feather, and I haven't figured it out. But anyway, in our role in medicine, embrace others. Embrace healers. You hear Dr. Cloud use that word all the time. Remember when we were first meeting, we never talked about the professions. He talked about healers, and that was really important to me. And if we're a healer, we have to also reach out. It's easy to stay at your office, see 23 patients 4 times a day, do your electronic health record, have your support staff take your paycheck. Calls getting easier over the years. We have hospitalists now, all that stuff. And but we have somebody out there I want to talk to you about. We have our invisible patients. Now, I'm not being a shaman anymore and talking about invisible patients. I'm talking about the patients that we're not seeing. And particularly, I'm talking about the PSMI population, are persistent and severely mentally ill. And we have so many schizophrenics, so many manic depressives, and they're in such a fragmented healthcare system that how many years do they die younger than their peer? Anybody know the number? Not fact, 25, right. 25 years. Average life expectancies in the low 50s, even under good treatment. So I'm at a talk the other day, and Michigan Department of Public Health put a slide up showing that 94% of the people with PSMI died of natural causes. Not drug overdose, not suicide. You know, they have that slide up there. Big circle, only a little bit of suicide, drug overdose. They said others are natural causes. Is dying of diabetes and heart disease at age 50 a normal thing? It's a disease, but you're not supposed to die at that age. But we just write, you know, they're just lumped into natural causes. While they smoke, you know, tons of cigarettes, you guys know that, just smoking machines. And our medicines cause their side effects. And if they don't come into the office, and I checked this before I came here with some of our docs, that's a good day. Because they're disruptive. They have to use public transportation. They may be early, they may be late, they may have to wait around. They may not make their appointment. They haven't been taking their meds. They got a 15-minute appointment and they're out of control. So they're disruptive. And people, it's like, if I don't see them, you know, cover your eyes, cover your ears, everything's okay. No, it's not. So remember the invisible patients. It's not just them. It's the abused women. It's the abused children. It's a lot of other invisible things that we have to challenge ourselves to find. They'll say their throat hurts, but we have to find the other stuff as well. Now, let's see, where are we here? As we try to change things, we have to find what's called the way. W-A-Y. Have any of you read The Art of War? 2 of us. Okay. The idea is, it's how we induce people to share our aim, the aim of our leadership, and to share in our losses and gains without fear that something bad will happen to them. Now that's our job, is to find the way. Right now, our country, I don't see the way yet, all right? We're still struggling. But we need to find that. You individually are going to have to find the way in your health center or your clinic or your hospital or your university, wherever you settle out in your careers. You're going to have to find what that way is. And it's the most important thing. You can't get started on these things without having that. Now, I'm looking at the clock because I wrote down here, thought I had. Just because you have an hour, you shouldn't waste good time. So I plan to say my piece and get out. I'm going to start on time. I'm always prepared. And then do your work and wrap it up. I pride myself on starting meetings on time, running them efficiently, and getting out of there. Might be why I can do meetings, because we run them like that. But when you go to the health center, you're going to find a complicated, not a complicated, or any job you go to, you're going to have all kinds of meetings and other stuff, committees, work groups, etc. When you go to the health center, you'll find out they have a board of directors, nonprofit board of directors. You'll know the CMO there is attending those meetings, representing the clinical staff. And there'll be a staff quality improvement committee. So you hear me saying committees, committees. Then inside the CHC, that chief medical officer is probably meeting with the CEO, chief executive, hour a week, performance improvement an hour a week, leadership team an hour a week, patient-centered medical home hour a week, and then I got a whole list of other ones. So it gets to be a critical issue is your time management. All right, manage your meetings, make them effective, and manage that time. And if you decide to stay involved in politics or in leadership, you'll find out that the health centers have something called a primary care association, where Dr. Cloud used to work for the one in Arizona. And that's where the health centers work together as a group in that state for political reasons, to negotiate contracts, quality improvement, bargaining, etc. So there are places for you to use your leadership skills. And, you know, when you're in that thing, in that position, again, what's most important is to pay attention, to listen intently to people. What are they saying? What are they trying to say? What do they mean? And to understand them, because your responsibility, it's not theirs. It's your responsibility to help all of us find the way. What is it? Because we're not going to move without it. Once you find the way, then you nurture it, and then you harvest the results. And those are your rewards. Now, here we're going to start. Somebody yell out, what's your favorite vegetable?
Carrot.
Carrot? Wrong. Eggplant? Pepperoni? Meat eater? Celery. Spaghetti squash. Chris, what's your favorite vegetable? Oh, by the way, this is my wife, Chris, over here, who I've now put on the spot.
Broccoli.
Peas. God, she even knows the story. Anyway, Dr. Cloud and I were at the meeting this summer, right, at the CHI. And he and I have been working on things for years. And he's taught me a whole lot. And you know, the first time we convened ATSU, the dental school, at the thing, we had a little room, and I think we had 4 people. And what did I say was not my strength? Patience. Hey, I've been working and I got 4 people, you know? I have failed. That's my first reaction. Okay, patience, Tom, takes time. All good things in all good time. In Michigan, we call that Indian time, because it ain't happening until it's right. And when is it right? They'll let you know. circular thing, but it's true. So patience. And this is what, 14 years ago, 13 probably, yeah. Another group we worked with was the LGBT group. I started working with them 20 years ago. And about 10 years ago, we had our first. We're so proud, we're organized, we got contracts, we have a meeting, and I think the same 4 people showed up, I swear. You know, they just the chronic meeting goer, the first guy to go to a meeting. And you're in there frustrated again, we've failed. This past year, you could not get into, Ted, you were there, weren't you? You couldn't get into the room. The hallway was packed. And I'm sitting out there thinking, man, patience. It worked. And we went to the LGBT group, couldn't get in there either. There was one year we had to write them the check to pay for their party. And, but patience. So I thought about it more. Is it just patience? And I said, no. Now, what's your favorite vegetable? No, peas. Jeez. This is how you're going to remember this. Peas. Okay, what's the first thing? LGBT, Dr. Cloud and I, all these things. We had a purpose. We knew what we wanted. We had an aim, dead aim. Knew what we wanted, so we had purpose. The second thing we decided is just keep making progress. Don't give up. Keep making progress and celebrate your results. Measure and share and be happy. The third P is patience. Just calm down, Tom. You got a purpose. You're making progress. This isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. Patience. Pace yourself. Be healthy. You got to succeed. The fourth thing is gently be persistent. Persistence, but with a gentle hand. You know? Any of you ride a horse? I just know I like, yeah, a few of you. I don't ride them, but I like reading about the people who do and how they handle a horse and coax it into doing what they need it to do. And so you're going to be persistent, but at times gentle. Fifth, keep a positive attitude. Everyone gets worn down, you know? Can we make any progress? Work hard to find progress and be positive. Do not get negative, okay? One thing you can do, remember I said you're the guide. You're the navigator. You're the one who's been down this river. You can tell them, we're doing fine. Most people crash in that section of the river. At least we're just beached, all right? Be positive. Find that for people. Now, when I came to work here with these guys years ago, they had these whiteboards up. Oh, like those things, right? And I'd never really watched people work on them. I'm watching your deans and Dr. Wendell and Dr. Cloud throwing ideas up there. And so now that I came out of retirement and I'm working at a health center again, I've got them up. So I put my 4 Ps or 5 Ps up there. Put a little thing on there. Now I never coached the staff to say write on my board, right? But it's right there where they can see it with a pen. Now come on. So, you know, a little while later, I found prayer, another P. If all else fails, come on, Lord, help me, baby. I think I'm doing the right thing. And then the other one somebody wrote just before I left is punt. A strategic punt can be a good idea sometimes. So those are my my P's that I wanted to remind you, let you guys know about, that help me work on long-term projects. And again, know your purpose, make progress, be patient, be persistent, be positive. Never forget the power of prayer. And sometimes there's a strategic punt involved. So how do we pull this off though? What's the real meat behind this? Now, one person's read The Art of War. I'm going to suggest you all read it. How many have heard of Bobby Knight? A couple of people. He's getting old. How about West Point? Everybody's heard of West Point. Required reading at West Point is The Art of War. Okay? It's part of their leadership training. And it is an easy read. It has 13 sections. One of them is about leadership. And just an observation, because I don't know the answer, 13 sections. The last chapter is on the use of spies and the 5 different kinds of spies there are. Or is it 7? I can't remember. All right. I know you're busy right now with this medical school stuff and everything. But it's the last chapter. Do you put is the last chapter because it's the least important? Or is it the last chapter because it's the one you're going to remember? I don't know. Anyway, The Art of War is a great book. I make every student with me, resident, etc., read it. And it talks of 5 things. Here we are. Okay? Talk about 5 key things. What are the key elements to be a great leader? You have to have courage. You have to have intelligence. You must be disciplined, self, and for your teammates. You must be humane. And you must be trustworthy. They say these are the 5 key things that go into leadership. When they say courage, they're talking about seizing the opportunity. Do you have enough courage? You really ready to go? Ready to jump out of that airplane with a little strap and a parachute on there? Yeah, that's courage. Courage, take it by the horns, win right then. Now, you have to be intelligent. And, that's your ability to make good plans and also to realize when your plan isn't working and to make change. You have to have discipline for yourself and for the people you're working with. Again, humaneness, love and compassion for everyone in your group, and trustworthiness. You have to have a fair punishment and reward. Now, these things, simple enough, 5 points. Each one is a potential disaster. If you're too courageous, it takes you past an edge and you become foolish and violent, okay? If you're too intelligent, people will rebel against you. Now, I wasn't a good leader 25 years ago. Pick on my friend, because I know he's so smart. Dr. Wendell, I've figured this all out. I've written it down. It's perfect. I've field tested it and everything else. I don't understand why you're still debating this thing. Now, I've tried to show him how good I am, right? He's taken me down.
You don't understand.
I don't? What? Yeah. This is it. I was too intelligent. I thought if I worked harder, I'm like a big dog and a porcupine. Anybody seen their dog get porcupine before? They get it again because they get mad because that porcupine got them. And they see him again and go, I'm going to get you even better. Then they get more porcupine quills. And they go back and just do it over and over. And that's what I did. I was defeating myself, working harder and getting further behind because I was so smart. And my partner from back then has asked me over the years, how'd I get better at what I'm doing? And I tell him, I just got stupid. And he knows that didn't happen. So that's the riddle part, okay? What does Tom really mean? What I actually started to do is help find the way. I couldn't force him through my brilliance and my intelligence to do it, but I could find the way. And Ted then would say, you know what we ought to do? And he's 90% copied exactly what I was going to do, so I'm happy. The other one, a point I'd like to make is intelligence was viewed as the most important by the military and the martial arts people. However, the kings thought it was love and compassion of the humanity, of humaneness. So different leadership positions value them differently. But then the book goes on that it's not, each one can be a strength or a weakness, but your job is to balance them. Okay? To think, is it time for courage? Or is it time for humaneness? Does this person deserve discipline? And if I do, am I trustworthy? Am I fair and equitable? Or am I doing this because I don't like you as much as, because you're rude to me, all right? Yeah, we just don't have a great relationship. So you have to put all of these things into balance. Now, I got a physician, actually this is a nurse practitioner. She's been out of practice about a year, and 80% of our patient complaints for the past 6 months have been about her. Not just little complaints, these are the formal, I'm writing it down, 80% about one person in my practice, okay? So, of course, she thinks we're looking at her. We are, because we don't ask for these. They come to us. We have to evaluate them. And she was kind of an irritable. They all said medicine was okay. She's just irritable. I didn't like the way she talked to me. She was rude. Okay, get in, and I said, I got to start doing a little bit of mentoring here and see if we can redirect this person, because I want her to have a good career. I don't want her alienating our patients. And our docs all said her medicine's fine. We just don't know what happens in the room. And I sat down and talked with her, and she said, God, some days I just hate coming to work. I know these patients, I want to do my best, and I just feel so frustrated I can't do my best. I'm thinking, wow, I don't think we're all of this stress. So I said, so what else is going on? And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, is there something else besides here? Because I don't see everything that you're telling me about all this stress. And she said, well, she looked at me like I was stupid, but maybe I am. I got stupid, I told you that. She is a mother of a 4-year-old with 2 identical twins, an abusive husband who stays at home. Where's her real stress? It's at home. And she wasn't getting enough positive stuff at work, but it doesn't matter. I looked at her, and she's, I grabbed the Kleenex box because, she was starting to get a little weepy, as she should. I even felt weepy. I said, wow, you got all this going on, and you're here at 8 in the morning, and you drive an hour each way, and you leave at 5? I couldn't imagine her life. And I started to have love and compassion. I didn't have any intelligence to fix this. But I turned the love and compassion on. And when it was done, we hadn't had a good talk in the 6 months that I'd been there. I asked her, would she like to do this again? And she said, yeah. I'd like to do it every week. And I said, okay, but we can't just start with patient complaints or this or that. We're going to start with something fun, all right? And I said, so what do you like to do? She says, I like to hunt. So what we do is, last week we started with talking about going out deer hunting, which I don't do, but she loves. Telling me about being up in her blind and up at her tree blind and watching the deer and not shooting them because that wasn't the one she wanted. I'm there. I don't even fish, never mind shoot. But that's what she likes. But now we have a relationship, and she's talking, and we can talk about patience. But what we then got was a positive comment card. Remember I said she gets 80% of our complaints. We actually got somebody write something really nice about her, right? And it ends up in the same committee, quality improvement. And looked at it and said, wow, maybe it's working. Then somebody said, it could just be random, All right. I said, I think we ought to tell her. And somebody said, one thing? you didn't tell her and she had one patient complaint. And I said, no, but yeah, I'm going to go upstairs and share it with her. So I went upstairs and I said, hey, mate, Julia, got this, and we always talk to you about when the patients aren't happy. That's really nice. She reads it, she goes, that is, actually that's the way I feel when I'm in the room with 95% of the patients. I said, yeah. She goes, but it's not captured. I said, that's because unhappy patients complain, happy ones come back. All right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, it'd be nice if we modified our comment card, which is out as you leave the place. So now you've had a really rotten appointment, you've been there for 2 hours, you're not happy, right? And he said, right. People are late, appointments suck. Drop it in the comment thing. She said, let's modify the card, and I'll field test it and put it in my office, asking about your visit today, almost a mini patient satisfaction kind of thing, but focusing on her to try and capture the positive stuff. And indeed, it worked. And we took it back to quality improvement. They loved it. They've got her coming in now with her ideas about what those questions are. And now instead of a committee that was on a witch hunt to get her, she's on the committee trying to help us figure out how to get better information for the whole practice. So it works, all right? That was the humane part. What was the other one? Oh, Dr. Carey. I shouldn't have mentioned his name, but Mitch and I have been partners forever. And he's the, he's the one I told him I had to get dumb. But again, using these same skills, he's been very irritable lately, and we've been working with him. And matching him up with different people, different personalities. And, he seems to be really starting to come along. Instead of saying he's always late and he's non-compliant and he won't use the electronic health record right, and even the stuff he puts in the record isn't correct. I could go on and on. All right, and he hasn't changed in years. He's a great doctor. He just doesn't do any of the documentation or the other stuff. But patients love him. And anyway, I went in to tell him some statistics, and he immediately goes, yeah, numbers. You're always getting numbers. He goes, I said, it's our first set, but they're really positive. Look at it. I said, we should feel good. And he goes, they'll probably get worse. I said, well, we'll refine them, but it's good. It's trending right. And he goes, yeah. And he sits there and goes, there's something I want to tell you. Boy, I've seen this look for 30 years, and it's not good. He tips his head up. They're waiting to get hammered, and he says, nah, if I said that, it'd sound like whining, wouldn't help anything. And I walked out of there like in shock. After 30 years, no whine, it wouldn't help anything. And he's having a great day. Also, because he didn't whine. He makes his own bad day. So again, another way that these kinds of things, love, compassion, being fair, equitable, they do work. But please keep them in balance, and please read The Art of War. And when I retired, and you should start planning your retirement right now. I hope you all know that. Even though you're in school, mounting debt, planning doesn't mean financing, but it is a plan. And one partner, reasonable number of children seems to help. But when I retired, I said, what am I going to do with all my free time? I'm going to have fun. I'm going to play with my friends. The next one's going to be playful. I want to be like a mature kid. Getting old isn't fun. It actually sucks. It hurts. Your skin changes right in front of your eyes. So I want to be like a mature kid. Have those feelings again. Fun, friends, playful, the freedom to do what I want in a safe environment. I think if we all just try to do that, we'll be able to have a really enjoyable life. I want you guys to be successful, healthy, take care of yourselves now. It will catch up with you. You're expected to work so hard, and yet you have to take care of yourselves. And one thing that I lost when I was in med school, and it took me years to get back, was reading books, because the medical school took my reading time, and I stopped reading the classic big novels. And I've never really gotten all the way back, but I'm reading more. And but so you're at risk here. Take care of yourselves. The faculty's watching out for you. They're trying to make it a safe environment, trying to get you educated. But you're hard workers, driven, and I want you to be well, have a long career in medicine, give great care to all the people in America or wherever else you go in the world to do it. And thank you for what you're doing.